Hey everyone, Simon and Alex here with Love Tennis, and today we're going to be speaking about Nick Kyrgios. So yesterday he had a big tantrum on the court.
Mr. Kyrgios.
He walked off mid-match, and there's a lot of talk about what should happen to him. So Alex, should he be banned?
I mean, look, he got angry, he walked off the court. I mean, it happens a lot, it actually happens a lot. Sometimes it happened, I remember Tarango, was it, in Jeff Tarango, when he walked off.
With Wimbledon?
In Wimbledon,
yep.
He walked off the court. There's, players do that sometimes. They lose their mind, they feel something's gone against them, it's unfair, they pack their bags, they go. It's a spur of the moment thing. Yes, he threw a chair. Should he be banned? No, he got fined, 20 grand or something like that. Big deal. Yes, there were people watching, people bought tickets to go and see the match. They didn't get to see the match, but you know what? If he had a burnout on court because he felt like he was mistreated, it's just the way he reacted. He reacted wrongly, but should he be banned? No.
But this isn't the first kind of thing that's happened with him on court. There's been lots of these kind of antics on court with him. It's ongoing and it's getting worse. It's not getting better.
I mean, he's this kind of player that, he's the kind of player that I reckon makes the sport fun as well. I think, like, if you ever go to any of the tournaments, you'll watch, players practicing or players playing matches, and he's one of the guys he's not as highly ranked anymore, right? But
yes.
He's still getting the crowds. People are still going in to watch Kyrgios because he's a personality. He'll always speak his mind. I know he's got in trouble with some of the things he's been saying in the media and in recent podcasts, which we're going to discuss. But it just makes him a bit more fun. You kind of never know what you're going to get. He's a bit unpredictable. All of a sudden he can just blow up. And I think he just, he leaves it all out there. He doesn't hide it. I think players like Djokovic, Federer, Nadal, they're kind of so wary of their brand. They're protecting their brand so much that maybe they're too scared to say some of the things that Kyrgios says, and he's not scared to do things. He's not scared to react in a certain way. He's just, he's all out there, and he just does what he feels is the right thing at the time, and it gets him in trouble, but it also makes him fun.
It definitely gets people talking like we're doing right now, and it brings probably more new eyes to the sport. But in terms of punishment, so a lot of players have come out and said that they think that he should be banned for 6 months. Even the guy he played yesterday, the young guy, came out and said that a lot of the players are in the locker room speaking about what should happen to him. So if you were in charge of the ATP, what would you be doing with Kyrgios?
I mean, they fined him. Maybe the fine is not very big.
Does that really matter to him?
Yeah, compared to the prize money he's getting. Yeah, but it's like Conor McGregor in MMA. Are you going to fine him for trash talking the opponent?
But it's different. Tennis, it's not a fight. We're not promoting like a one-on-one fight between Conor McGregor and Khabib. There's a lot of players that come together to actually make the event special. There's Kyrgios is one of the players. Obviously, it's Federer, Nadal, Wawrinka, Murray when he's playing, and obviously Djokovic. So there are a lot of players that bring people to the event. He's not the only one.
Of course he's not the only one, but when he's on court, it is one-on-one, and it is trash talking against your opponent.
But is trash talking part of tennis? Because he mentions basketball.
Yes.
Basketball happens, in boxing it happens, in MMA it happens, but that's where it's closer contact. That's where it's like me and you're touching each other. Whereas in tennis,
please.
But in tennis, we have like space. We never have contact between each other. It's my tennis racket touching the ball and your tennis racket touching the ball. It's not me and you actually punching each other in the face.
Why does it matter? Why should it matter? It happen contact or not contact. Trash talking.
But tennis has always traditionally been like a different sport. It hasn't been like a basketball where a lot of the basketball players have grown up in like inner cities and rough areas where there's a lot of fights breaking out. Same in boxing, same in MMA. Tennis has traditionally been an upper class sport where people are more like a gentleman's sport.
But why should it be an upper class sport? Tennis it's available for everyone.
It should be for everyone.
Everybody's playing it, and it doesn't matter what background you're from, you can play it. And I
agree,
I think it's got nothing to do with.
But it's the tradition that carries back. Since the beginning of tennis.
Yeah, but traditionally, men used to play in trousers and use wooden rackets. Like, we don't do that anymore.
That's true. maybe it's a sign of the times that people should accept it.
Sport is now more in the social media. There's things like a comment on a podcast would blow up and everybody knows about it.
Yes.
Like players should expect it, and it's part of the sport. And I think it'd be wrong for an organization to punish a guy for speaking out, or for speaking out against other players, or making comments that maybe are deemed inappropriate. Okay,
I'd agree with that, but at what point does he cross the line? And because he's a role model, if he wants to be, or if he doesn't want to be, he's a role model. There's millions of kids watching him play around the world, and they're seeing his antics on court. Surely that can be a good thing. If you're a coach for young junior and you're seeing them do the same things, would you say that's fine, keep doing it?
100% not. So for me, when I watch him, sometimes he can come across as and some people say, right, he's not trying and so on.
He's tanking
the match. It happens because he gets himself into a certain frame of mind, and actually sometimes it's part of the way he wins as well. Because I've seen him I've seen him tanking and being like, yeah, you know what, I don't care about what happens now. I'm just going for shots, and all of a sudden he comes back and wins the match, and the players are now, like someone like Rafa.
So it's almost a mind game.
Yeah, Rafa will then be complaining, saying, oh, this guy doesn't respect the crowd, he doesn't respect me because he's tanking, but he's just beating you. So he's not tanking, it's a way of playing. He's
gamesmanship.
He's distracting the opponent.
Yes.
He's disrupting the pace of play.
Yeah.
He's doing things to get under the opponent's skin. It's part of the game, I think. And if he can do that and win, the other opponent can't have any complaints. Go and win and then talk. And then so if he's able to win and do that, and sometimes he doesn't win, and sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes he walks off the court, and like he did earlier, it does also happen. But you get players like, for example, Dustin Brown, right? He plays unorthodox. Comes in, drop shots, all this. People love watching him play, right? For me, Kyrgios is another player that
does something different.
Different. He doesn't play by the book, and I think it works for him. Like in the interview, he discusses, sometimes packing his going out clothes before the match, and that's the only thing he's got in his bag. And after he finishes the match, he's off partying. That works for him, and I think. For him to win matches, he has to be in that frame of mind where he doesn't care, almost. When he goes for balls, he's like, you know what, I don't care about this. If I lose, I'm off. If I win, great. And I think that makes him relax, and that makes him play great tennis. Whereas I think you put the mind of someone like Rafa on him, where he's going to be so intense, so into it, I think he's going to make him tight. I think he's going to actually play worse tennis. And I think he's not going to win as many matches, to be honest. And people say, look, if he only applied himself, if he only gave a little bit more in practice and so on, maybe he'd be better. I think he does give a lot in practice. If you watch, he didn't get to the way to where he is by not practicing. He didn't just magically pick up a racket and start playing. So he has been putting in the hours, but now he's at a point where the hours are maybe not as important. It's about the way he can play, the way he can maximize his game, and the way he can get under the opponent's skin. It becomes more about tactics. And I think it upsets a lot of people, and he's able to win a lot of matches through this kind of gameplay. And is it wrong? I don't know. Is it great to watch? Entertaining to watch? Maybe not a great role model for young kids to watch, and it's not something I'd encourage recreating, because maybe it works for him, but I don't think it would work for a lot of players out there. Yeah. I think if you were to take 100 kids and say play like this, I think the percentages of those kids making it would be very small. Whereas I think if you give the mind of a Nadal or Federer, and to those kids and say go and play, I think a lot more would make it. So in those terms, yes, I would encourage a different kind of play and a different kind of mindset.
Yes.
But definitely, it's just the way he plays. Before watching and before listening to the interview, I actually quite disliked him, because I maybe didn't know enough about him. I didn't know how he thinks, and just listening to that interview made me think, you know what? He's got a point on a lot of things. I think a lot of players are so uptight and so scared to speak their mind, and Djokovic, he mentioned he had a go at Djokovic saying he's wants cringy. It's cringy whatever he wants to be liked, and I almost agree with that. I've seen that from Djokovic. Sometimes even some of the jokes he tries to play on the court and things like that, I just don't think he's a funny guy. I don't think he's like that, and I think he wants to be that so much. I think he wants to be liked, and I think Kyrgios mentions the celebrations where he does, maybe, is he copying someone like an Agassi because he thinks like that's going to give him more fans, that people are going to warm to him? I think just be you, go out and be you, and I think he's still trying to find that. I don't think...
Maybe he's fighting with the two greatest players of all time, also for the fans to love him, Nadal and Federer, of course.
Yeah.
In a different generation, would Djokovic be the most loved player right now? Probably.
100%, and I think, and there's also, you have to think about the brand, right? So that he's got a brand that he's trying to protect, he wants it to grow, he wants it to be like a legacy that he leaves behind. And I think someone like a Rafa and a Federer, they have that, and I think Djokovic is a little bit behind it. He's still building it, he's not quite there, he's not as liked. Even when he's practicing, there's not as many people there compared to Federer and Rafa.
Yeah.
But you know what, there's nothing wrong with that, and I think because he's constantly and I think it bothers him, and he wants that, and I think other players feel it, and I think Kyrgios feels it, and he knows it, and he mentions it, and I'm sure other players feel that too, but they're just not going to mention it because it's like, oh, it's taboo, let's not talk about the greats as being, a great player on the court, but it doesn't mean that, the way he acts and the way his character is, he's not a bad guy, but I just think he can be a bit cringeworthy, and do you remember that time when we travelled to India and Wales, and I was supposed to practice with Djokovic. We organised the training, I warmed up, I got ready, I got on the court, and Djokovic just comes says, oh sorry, you know what, he's going to do something else today. So I was like, well, that's...
We've spent 6 hours waiting for him.
Yeah, I was like, you know what, that's disrespectful to me, and I was like, you know what, so I walked off that court, and I was actually...
Furious.
Yeah, I was thinking, you know what, this guy's I'm not going to mention the word, but... maybe that's but
maybe that was just part of the team. Maybe the team didn't organise the session properly, and it had nothing to do with Djokovic. So
I mean, for sure. It happens. It happens in tennis. Whatever, it's an individual sport. You have to be
a bit selfish.
I guess so. And for me, we don't know each other, so whatever. But he's one of these guys that I think he's never going to live up to like a Federer or a Nadal. He could maybe win more slams.
Yeah, he could do.
But I don't think he's going to... In their time, right now, while Federer and Nadal are around, I just don't feel like he's...
going to be as loved.
As loved. And the more he forces it, the more he tries it, I think the more people are going to hang back, because he's going to be cringing them out a little bit. And I think it's interesting. I kind of like that comment from Kyrgios. It's interesting the way he speaks about it.
Yeah, he's very open. It's a great podcast. And also, what do you think about the comments he made about Rafa being salty after he beats him, and the comments about Uncle Tony?
Uncle Tony did come out with that stuff, right? So and it is true. Rafa is always, he's a great champion, but he's kind of always has the respect for Federer, who
he sure does.
And if he loses to Djokovic, Federer, even Murray, if he loses to those top four, I'm so respectful. This is, they're a great champion. They were just better than me, and so on. But if he loses to someone he's not supposed to lose to, if he has a bad day, a lower ranked player, he's never like that. It's always, he has that kind of pride which gets to him, and he wants to protect that. And then he'll say, oh yeah, it's either he was injured, or he was this, or he was that, or the other guy was disrespectful. The other guy was disrespectful and playing the way he was playing. Yes, but he beat you. And if I understand if Kyrgios came on the court and didn't give anything and lost love and walked off the court and so on, he could say, you know what, this guy's wasting my time, and it's unfair to the crowd and so on. But he came out, he played a certain way, and he won. It worked. So I'm sorry, you can't complain about that. That's not disrespectful to you. That's finding a way to win a tennis match. And at the end of the day, it's you against another guy on the other side. If you find a way to beat that guy and you got under their skin, I'm sorry, that's part of the game. It's part of the game in boxing. If you got under the other guy's skin and they
go for more and they start swinging wild.
Exactly. You always see those showdowns, and I think it's like with boxing and tennis, it's a one-on-one sport. And anything you can do to influence that, whether it's getting under the other guy's skin, or playing a certain way that the other player doesn't like. It's like, for example, a lot of players change tactics and start moonballing, right? Yes. You'll see someone like Monfils, right? He'll be hitting, and then he'll start moonballing, hacking, and he'll win the match. Does the other player then come off and say, "Oh yeah, this guy has just moonballed me out of the court. Like
he's a terrible player.
He doesn't deserve to play tennis." No, you've lost because you weren't able to handle.
But that was within the point. That's a tactic. That's a strategy.
Yes.
What Kyrgios is doing is almost like what McEnroe used to do, slowing down the pace, slowing down the game, doing things off the court, even with the umpire, arguing with the umpire, throwing his racket, throwing a chair. But everything is built around putting the opponent off.
100%. I mean, you get players, for example, taking injury timeouts. You get players taking toilet breaks. You get things like this where people talk to the referee, with the umpire. They try and slow down the points. It's part of the game. Like he's not like breaking the rules here. There's nothing in the rules to say you can't do that. Well,
when he throws his racket and he throws a chair, he is.
Yes. Right, okay. Yeah. He's breaking the rules there, and he's getting punished for that.
But is that punishment enough? Like if you're the ATP. And you have all this media now. All the media, the world's media are now looking at the ATP. What are you going to do to actually solve this Kyrgios puzzle? What do? Do you just leave him to carry on and get worse?
How many guys out there? How many guys out there right now are playing matches, getting angry, breaking rackets? Like that's just like that's.
But
what
they're not on
do.
TV all the time. They're not like the role model that Kyrgios is.
Correct, but is that making him fun? I think that's. Okay, let's make let's make everyone like Federer.
We don't have to all be like sheep, but
it's not. He's got personality. I think he does something crazy, and it makes him fun to watch. It makes him unpredictable. Is it a good thing for kids to watch him copy? Maybe not.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we're talking about it. It puts the sport into people's minds, whether it's a negative or a positive.
All press is good press.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So it's does he do more for the sport? I think so, and I kind of like the fact that he just spoke out with that, and he said things about the big four that he
feels.
He feels. He wasn't like you know what, I'm just going to say they're great and be done with it. He's like, you know what, I'm going to say what I think, and I don't care what people say, and I kind of respect that. I like that. Interesting that he likes Murray. They're quite good friends. I remember they always have like some kind of banter going on.
Yes.
I remember with Instagram and social media, they were sending each other things, and I think it's great, you know. So he doesn't like hate everyone. Like he said, he didn't like Verdasco.
Yeah,
I kind of see that as well, right? The way he carries himself, the way he is, like maybe he's got a point there. But I don't think it's not like it's him against the world. There are players in the locker room that like him and he likes, and I think he said there's no need to like everyone, and there's no need for everyone to like you. At the end of the day, they're there to play a sport. That's what they're doing. Yep. He's doing it in his own way, but he's like someone like, for example, Tsitsipas, right? He keeps to himself.
Yes.
He doesn't socialize as much. He does his own thing. He does his vlogs. He does his thing. Does that make him, or he doesn't have like relationships with other players and so on, he's hated. No, he's not. He's doing his own thing. He's doing what works for him. Like for Kyrgios, it might work that he needs to be a bit more relaxed, and sometimes it gets the better of him. I think he loses his mind a bit, and he walks off court and so on. Yeah. Does it make him a bad player? Let's punish him. Let's get him out of the sport. Let's ban him. Come on,
I would agree, but I think it comes back to being a role model. You're being paid millions of dollars to play a sport in the limelight. Everyone's watching you. Part of that is also behaving like a role model, so that the young players who are watching you can look and say, you know what, I like this guy, and I'm going to behave like him. Like when David Ferrer retired last week, and we've worked with Ferrer and spent time with him. He's a great role model. I would put a clip of him training. Or I'd take my son to his academy and say, look at how this guy actually works. Look at how he trains. Look at how he applies himself. But with Kyrgios, I feel like he's floating through his career. He's like at 50-60%.
Almost like a Tomic.
Yes, he's doing a Tomic. He's doing a Tomic, and he's doing it even worse because he's also behaving bad on court. Imagine if a guy like Kyrgios had Ferrer's training habits and the application that he brings to the sport. Would he already be a multiple slam champion?
Or would he have burnt out and not
possibly
didn't want to play tennis anymore because he all
could
he did was
ways,
so it's a tough one, definitely. There's it's looking at things like
weighing them up.
How does one win matches? What does he do? Does he train? 100% he does. He travels right now without a coach.
Yes. But does he train? Is he really applying himself fully, or is he kind of like, you know what? I kind of enjoy tennis. I like winning. I like the prize money, but I don't really want to apply myself like a Federer, like a Djokovic, or like a Nadal.
I mean, you mentioned also there, like something like about like him getting paid big money to be out there, but he's earned that. He didn't just show up there and be like, right, let's pay this guy to put on a show, and oh no, he hasn't performed, right? It's not like a performance in theatre, right?
He's definitely built up to that level.
He's got a ranking that qualifies him. So it's not his attitude or anything else that has put him there. It's his ability, and it's his
nothing against him. He's a great player.
So his ability,
incredible talent.
His ability has put him there into the position where he's at, and yes, he might be wasting it through playing a different way or not applying. Could have, shoulda, woulda.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, he's made it there on his own merit. He wasn't given it.
Yeah.
I would be more angry if, for example, he's outside. He's like 300 in the world or 400 in the world. This guy gets a wild card into Wimbledon, Australian Open, or whatever, and then he comes on the court and he does that. Okay. Then I'd be like, you know what? You've just wasted a wild card that someone else could have got. Because and you didn't. Because someone would have like appreciated it and you didn't. I'd be angry at that. I'd be like, you know what, that was unacceptable. But he's made it there from his own merit, right? His own results. He's travelled. He's played week in, week out. And yes, sometimes he blows up on the court and it goes all wrong. But don't take away all the other things that he's done in his career to get to that level. To be a tennis player, you have to put in a lot of hours. The amount of traveling, the amount of grinding, the amount of everything that he's had to go through. Now he's enjoying it. He's like, you know what? I've done all that. Now I can just play. I can just be me and I can do what I want because I've done it. I've made it. Does he think he's made it already more than maybe he has? Perhaps. He could have maybe done more. But don't take it away from him. He's already, I would say he's made it in tennis because of where he is.
Yes.
He's not one of the greats, but some people are not maybe born to be, and maybe he doesn't want to be. He's not one of these players that I don't think if you ask Tomic, do you want to be world number one? He's going to be like, you know what, I've made it to whatever he has, top 20, then I'm happy with that. So some players are just more content with what they have.
What do you guys think? Leave a comment down below. What do you think about Kyrgios' behaviour, his comments about Djokovic and Nadal? And now, the final question, Alex. If you were his coach, what would you do? What would you do with Nick Kyrgios?
I mean, you have to, obviously, I think you have to let him play. I think you have to let him do his own thing. Because imagine you're a coach, right? And you come to him and you say, right, Nick, you got to stop all this. You can't do
military
this.
routine.
You can't do this. You can't do this. You can't do this. He's going to look at you and be like, dude, this is not me.
I hate this.
You've got the wrong guy here. Go and coach Rafa.
Yeah.
So with him, I think it's more about like managing his character and being more like, right, this is what he's like. How can we max out? Maybe it's about organization. So making him more organized, making sure that he goes to bed, try to go to bed on time, try to get up for training on time, get like a routine going. I think that would be one of those things, and maybe more about tactics and actually like getting things so that he doesn't just blow up, and maybe having a little bit of a structure of what happens when he feels that way, so that he can still manage it and maybe not walk off the court and find a way to turn it around, because he's one of these players that can turn it around.
He has done.
Because what happens is when someone goes crazy like that and they throw their racket, they go sit down, they say I don't want to play and so on, the other player, when they're watching that, it throws you off because you're like, is this guy, have I won the match now? Is he going to like shake the opponent, the referee's hand? Is he going to pack and leave? And you're kind of wanting that. You're like, you know what, I don't like, because he could still come back. I want to have the easy win. I'd rather play the next match, I don't want to get tired. You're like, you know what, this would be great if you just walked off right now. And then all of a sudden this guy says, no, you know what, I care now. I'm going to come back and play.
And he starts serving
bombs, and all of a sudden he holds, and you're like, oh my god, I was like a few points away from winning this guy walking off the court. Now all of a sudden he's coming back, all of a sudden the other player gets nervous, they lose the match, so that's how he can turn things around. And I think it's about keeping him in those matches for a bit longer, and like finding a way for his character and for his mind to stick with it for a bit longer. And I think that's a way, because you can't change the way he plays. He wins matches the way he plays. He's got a big game. he's going to win matches. So if you tell him, right, you know what, I'm gonna be a militant coach, and this is what you're gonna do.
Yeah, he'd probably give up.
Yeah, well, he wouldn't give up. He wouldn't work with you. I think he'd be like, you know what? I think he's more looking for like a friend who can advise him, who can give him some guidance and give him some things to put into practice, something he believes in. And I think that's the thing. A player has to believe in what you're teaching, right? And I think it's maybe sitting down and getting some structure and some what if scenarios that he can play in his mind and be like, right, if this happens, this is the outcome, these are the things that you can do. If this happens, these are the things that you can do. And for him, like maybe even have a keyword where like, right, this is happening now. So, you know, you've got your options now, you know what you're doing. And I think maybe he'd be able to win more matches that way.
Interesting. So let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. Share this video with anyone who would benefit from watching it, enjoy watching it, and also subscribe to the channel Love Tennis. Turn on the notification bell so you get our latest videos as soon as we release them. Signing off, Simon and Alex, see you soon.